Liam went to the cinema. Now it's time for the spoiler-free review of the thing that you saw at the cinema.
And Eddie might have done some stuff too and have spoiler-free reviews.
Yeah. I saw Shazam.
I'm seeing Shazam.
Yeah, so it's obviously spoiler-free. Now, you've kind of like written off the DC films, so I'm curious.
I will admit, though, that Shazam is the only one that since, I think, like, since the first trailer came out, I was like, I'm going to see this, and I'm also not prejudging it. Like, I don't know why, but in my head, this isn't a DC film. I know it is.
It is. And it's not only is it a DC film, it's, I think, quite smart the way that they've, like, embroiled it into the DC universe without it being, like, overbearing.
There's lots of, like, there's like memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah. So there's
like
little like reminders that this is in the DC universe, but it isn't like overbearing sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think they handled that quite well, especially since there are like news reports that the DC universe is moving away from essentially trying to copy the Marvel template of having lots of crossovers and shared
it's
things.
All very confusing because now DC they're not doing the big collaborative films, or they're probably going to avoid them.
Yeah.
It's sort of still in a connected universe, but also not, because some of the films won't be part of that universe, but some of them will be, but the ones that aren't going to make much reference to it, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So it's all a bit of a
it is I think
situation.
it's just really obvious that they don't really know what they're doing. And
yeah, because they keep just trying different things. Like, maybe we do it the way Marvel did it. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, we're not doing it the way Marvel did it. How silly is that? Oh, we're doing something else. And you're like, oh, DC.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Pick something.
But equally, like, it's interesting seeing these studios experimenting on such a grand stage, because, like, it's not like these decisions are being made behind closed doors. Like, we are very aware of them, and it's like with Sony as well, with what they're doing with, like, the Spider-Man villains. Like, you had the Venom one, which we both enjoyed. They're currently shooting, like, a Morbius film with Jared Leto in it. That's, I think, filming in London at the moment or something. Or Manchester, maybe. Somewhere in the UK. And it's interesting seeing these different studios going, oh, we want a piece of that pie.
Yeah.
How do we do it? But we don't want to put in the legwork that Marvel did. We don't want to take, like, 10 years.
Yes. It is interesting.
Yeah. So Shazam...
Yeah.
I think it's actually a shame that we won't get to see Shazam interacting with some of these other heroes, because I think it would have introduced a different tone. Like, for example, like, just take Justice League, for example. If you then throw Shazam into that, it would have just made it, I think, a more, I mean, depending how successfully they do it, a more interesting film tonally. It could have been awful. It could have not worked at all.
I mean, it wouldn't have, because he'd have been one character in a giant array of characters that did not gel together particularly.
There are talks that there's going to be a Black Adam movie.
Yep, I've heard that as well.
Have you heard who's playing Black Adam?
I think I have, but I don't remember.
It's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, yes. No, yeah. That is right. Yeah. So
my hope is that we will get to see like a Shazam Black Adam crossover type thing coming up, which would be good. So the basic, like, spoiler-free plot for Shazam is just a kid gets these superpowers. When he says the word Shazam, he turns into, like, his peak self with powers, essentially. Yeah. So the kid is played by Asher Angel. He's good. He's got a friend who you'd have seen in the trailers.
Yep.
Played by Dylan Grazer. And they both have, like, good chemistry on screen. And they're, like, believable kids, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then you've got Zachary Levi?
Yeah, is he the guy that played Chuck in Chuck?
Yeah. He plays the superhero version of the kid, so Shazam.
Yeah.
Very good. And you've also got, the only other person I want to just call out, actually there's a couple. So you've got Cooper Andrews, who, do you remember Jerry in The Walking Dead from The Kingdom? He was like Ezekiel's right-hand man.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
He's fantastic in it. You got John Glover, who played Lionel Luthor in Smallville.
Oh, okay.
He's got a small role, and it's just like, it's. I mean, I don't know if it was deliberate, but it almost feels like they're paying like superhero royalty sort of thing. Like, he is now a name in the superhero world because of that role. So let's give him a little tiny part of Shazam.
I think you're maybe slightly marred by the fact that you were a big Smallville fan.
Yeah, I was.
So I imagine you're slightly seeing it through rose-tinted glasses.
Oh, possibly. The only downside is Mark Strong played the villain, and...
Who's that?
Mark Strong?
Yeah.
He was in Kingsman. He plays like
as
the
the techie guy.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's also in Kick-Ass as the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the villain in this, and it's just a bit of a, I don't know. For me, the villain didn't really work in this film, but everything else was good enough that it didn't hugely matter.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was like a 3.5 out of 5. Like it is all over the place tonally. Like there's comedy, there's little bits of horror elements. There's obviously like your superhero action stuff, and not quite as much as like Venom was really all over the place. And yeah, I just found myself really enjoying it. This isn't quite that extreme, but it's a bit messy, but that kind of works in its favour. I've seen people describe it as a bit like Deadpool light, which I think is a bit of an unfair comparison, but I think they're trying to kind of get at tonally. It's a bit like a toned down Deadpool.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. I mean, my favourite Shazam thing, Liam, I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm assuming it's not in there, but I have a vague memory of, in either a comic book or maybe one of the DC games or something, Shazam grabbing someone, lifting them into the air, and yelling Shazam repeatedly so that his lightning bolt would strike them constantly.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's a very cool way to take, like, the way he transforms and turn it into a weapon.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, it came to me while you were talking about it, so
enough.
I wanted to mention it.
It's also worth staying around right to the end of the credits.
Yes, you and Dan have told me, or you told me this, and Dan said he missed it.
Yeah. But yeah, I so on the
when
next
you say
episode,
worth it, do you mean worth it, or do you mean like Marvel worth it?
Oh, like Marvel
where,
worth it.
You stayed right to the end, and you're like, oh, it was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay,
cool. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I've just missed a huge key thing here. It's
someone should do that, like an integral piece of the story be right after the credits.
Oh, someone has to have done, right?
Maybe.
Possibly. There is a film that we do need to watch called Wild Things, which is famous for one scene, but the actual rest of the film is amazing.
Okay.
Do you know the film I'm talking about?
No.
It's famous for the scene where it has Neve Campbell and Denise Richards in a swimming pool kissing. You must have seen that scene before.
No idea.
Anyway, but it's got Bill Murray in the film, and the film is literally just, here's a twist, here's a twist, here's a twist, here's a twist, here's the credits, here's a twist. It's brilliant. Yeah, we need to add that to our list of culture swaps.
Okay.
But yeah, so Shazam, 3.5 out of 5, good time, good direction for DC to be heading in, I think. They need to start kind of gaining favour from audiences. And this is like a good start of doing that, I think.
I don't know if they can.
Well, you're so like dismissive of them when if you come out of this film liking it, for you they'll have had a 50-50 hit rate.
Yeah, which is not that good.
It's not great, but it's...
Imagine there being a film series where 50% of the films, and not in like a they got progressively worse, just...
Isn't that Star Trek? Everyone says like the even numbers of Star Trek are good and the odd ones are bad.
Yeah, but that's a structured thing where you can start to predict it. Like, yeah. I'm talking just, you have a film series where you're like, even the first one could be abysmal, and the second one could be great, and the third one could be good, and the fourth one could be terrible. Like, there is no order to it.
Yeah.
You would not be a fan of that film series. You might be like, it's annoying that I like some of these films and don't like any of the others.
Yeah.
That's where I am with DC. I'm like, if it's a complete pot shot of what I'm going to get, why the fuck would I give them my time? What DC get from me is, if other people have gone to see the film and say it's a good film, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel, I'll go see every Marvel film.
Well, you have... The way Marvel is structured now is you kind of have to, right? Like,
yes. Which is... They've managed to get there. Why can't DC do that, Liam?
Because they didn't put in the groundwork.
They didn't put in the groundwork.
No. They jumped the gun.
They were like, here's Justice League. And everyone was like, no.
Well, not even that. They went, here's Batman vs Superman. And people were like, what? We haven't... What? Why? And then I was like, this is great. And everyone else was like, nah, it's awful.
They were like, here's Batman vs Superman and also a 10-minute trailer for Justice League in the middle of the film.
And here's Wonder Woman too, don't forget.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, they were like, here's Wonder Woman. Everyone went, oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.